Well, intros are for losers. We have Gerbil, first time on the channel. Hello. Let's skip the formalities and go right into the greatest I told you so of all time. The floor is yours.
Sure.
Go for it.
All right, fine. Leia, I told you. Is that what you were looking for?
That was exactly what I was looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing actually how many like content creators, and I'm not trying to diss the community because
diss the community. That's what the PP podcast is for.
Oh, is it? I actually haven't listened to the podcast, so I think I need to subscribe.
It's okay. We do one
Especially
episode
since
every
I'm on
like
it now.
7 months. This is like episode
right.
12, and we've been doing it for years.
Oh, okay, fine. Well, I'll still find you later. I'll subscribe. I mean, I got to now that I'm on it, I guess. But yeah, no, Leia, man, it's like so many people are like, "Oh yeah, we saw that coming. We saw that coming." Everyone knew it was coming. I was like, "No, you didn't." I remember when I posted my first video for it over a year ago. One of the top content creators, no names, was like,
"No, we need names.
Yeah,
we call people out."
No, not naming names right now. Not yet. Maybe I'll get more comfortable. But
and your
but no,
book.
they were like, it ain't happening. He's nuts. There's no way it's happening. But to be honest, to be fair, like I did say it would be Leia and Tarkin. Because I really thought Tarkin was kind of the antithesis of Leia, especially all the way through New Hope, right? I mean, and if you read the comics and even in Rebels, there's some Leia Tarkin duels happening and stuff. But and I still think we're gonna get another Empire GL very soon. Maybe not the next one, but we got Hutt Cartel instead, and no one I don't think really saw that one coming. They just made a whole new faction, so.
I mean, it was a great faction. So if Empire is theoretically coming in the next couple, and you have unimaginable deductive farming, I don't know what the term is, instincts, can I interest you in a Thrawn? I've predicted Thrawn since literally before JML and C were announced. I was like, obviously Thrawn is going to be the next galactic legend. I don't know why I said that, but that was always my my intuition. It was going to be Beskar Armor Thrawn and someone else. I can't even remember at this point. Give me the argument. Imagine that you've convinced yourself it's going to happen. Give me the argument for it.
All right, so I don't think it's going to be Mando. I'm trying to think of the guy's name, the actor who plays the Mandalorian.
Pedro Pascal.
Yeah. So he's been kind of on a roller coaster, whether he wants to continue the role or not. He's had some problems with some of the production teams, and that's why the studios have been kind of pulling him out. He's had a lot less screen time, like in the last season, right? His screen time took a dive.
Yeah.
And Bo-Katan's is on the up, right? So I think if we're going to get if that trend continues, I think that the Mandalorian future could be less of him and more about the rebuilding of the Mandalore. But the studios have already said that's not their intention. They want to go back to more of the bounty hunter-esque kind of short stories. So time will tell, but I don't think we'll get a Mandalorian GL in the near future. I think it'd be great because it's a super popular franchise, a lot of money to be made. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's more likely that it would be a heir of the Empire Thrawn, like you're saying, because there's still a lot of Empire characters not needed for anyone. And while we have Lord Vader as a GL, an Empire tag, he's when you ask a random dude, hey, name someone from Star Wars in the Empire, or what do you think of? They don't go, oh, I think of Lord Vader slaying, Jedi children, right? You think of stormtroopers and ATSTs and all that good jazz and TIE fighters. And so I think it's very likely that we get like a trooper-ish GL down the road. Alternatively, and I think Thrawn would be great for that. And then I think that if they wanted to do like a counterpart to it, I think it would be more likely we'd get an Ahsoka, especially with the upcoming TV show and the hype around it, and just the duality of Ahsoka and Thrawn. And then, of course, you could bring in updated Phoenix teams and make them required for both of them, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of what I was looking at more recently than, I guess, when I originally made the prediction that he would eventually come is... You have so many opportunities to rehash characters that make them, I know they gave us Viagra Rex or whatever the fuck people are calling him, but like the Phoenix is not fantastic. It does some good stuff, and there's some very niche use cases where it's quite effective. But like I think rehashing a lot of those characters in an updated, cooler version would be nice. You can get some sort of, I mean, what do we even call them at this point? Legendary Ezra, the Cal Kestis, Jedi Knight Luke, era of characters. And then they could
short hair Sabine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is she I mean, okay, this is a little bit of a tangent. I've like watched the trailers kind of, but like I watched them without audio and like on 2x speed, like in airports. Are they trying to make her Are they trying to make her a Jedi, or are they just like, oh, Ahsoka gave her a lightsaber? What are they doing with her? Why does she have a lightsaber?
So there is a lot of speculation that she's force sensitive and that Ahsoka is going to be training her in the next in the show. I don't know if that's going to happen. But it would be kind of interesting to see a Mandalore with, force abilities.
Yeah, that would, I mean, hell of a comeback for the Jedi Mandalorians, that would be. But, yeah. I mean, they tried to do the same thing with Finn, and then that kind of backfired. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of randomly, like, oh, you just happen to be force sensitive, because it kind of takes away, I don't know, maybe I'm on my soapbox too much, but, like, Star Wars is like, oh, there's a couple of really cool force-using characters, but like so many of the cool characters in Star Wars are just like people who have to like circumnavigate the fact that they can't like pull Star Destroyers out of the sky. They have to like think and run like a normal person and shoot guns and stuff like that. And I just hate giving every character can't die, i.e. Cad Bane and Rey, I guess, or that stupid snake that she healed. And everything is apparently a force sensitive thing. I don't know if that's too much. That's too soapboxy for you, but that's it's not been my favorite trend in recent years. I don't think that holds up the integrity of the universe very well.
And I think that's actually why Mandalorian has been as popular as it is, because it's not about, other than the little baby Grogu, it's not about the Force, right? I mean, we had a cameo from Luke at the end of that one season, and everybody's jaw dropped, and we loved it. But most of the Mandalore, I mean, he's getting his butt kicked actually quite often, and I think that it provides more of a believable human element to it that people have really enjoyed.
Yeah, I think that's why I liked, oh my God, Cassian or Andor, whatever the hell the show is called.
Rogue One.
Yeah, Rogue One and the TV show. I think that's why I enjoyed it so much. It was like a universe that
Andor.
I enjoy. Andor, yeah, a universe that I love, and like relatable, realistic characters that like there's something, maybe it's just because I'm a little bit older than when I originally watched the Star Wars movies, but like you can have good cinema, or I guess it's not cinema because it's a TV show, but you can have good storytelling and good screenplay in the Star Wars universe without having the plot hole of worst case scenario, I can cut through any wall and throw people across the room, and if I fall, if Palpatine throws me out a window, I can come back because I'm immune to fall damage. And they can just hold that. And if I'm Cad Bane, I could just press a button and my heart will keep beating. You know what I'm saying? I think that's something that I've really enjoyed maybe as I've gotten older. But going back to the game, I would love a revamp of all, kind of like Leia, I imagine you predicted years ago or a year ago, would do a revamp of a lot of Empire characters that like have only one use case. Like there's Imperial troopers and it's like, oh, are you faster? Yes. Okay. You kill them and you get max banners and it's great. Iden Versio used to be great on defense, and now it's like, oh, did they happen to put Mon Mothma on defense for whatever reason? Oh, you just go full auto, and that's kind of all you use them for, and there's nothing interesting about the faction right now, unfortunately, and I'm really hoping Thrawn can kind of change that. Maybe kind of how Jabba created a new faction, took a bunch of random characters and made them good, or in the way that, I don't know, Qui-Gon Jinn could take leftover Galactic Republic Jedi and make them useful. Like something in that respect where like you can take stuff that maybe wasn't as interesting or as useful and turn it into something that has flexibility and has obviously some sort of presence in the meta. How do you think the team's going to kind of play out?
Yeah, so like I'm just scrolling through the list of Empire here on swgoh.gg, and there's always going to be those people who are going to be like, you don't know what the hell you're talking about, man. Director Krennic's amazing or something, right? But it's
Have you been talking to Van Seal?
but yeah, so I'm scrolling through the list, and like you just said, right, the Imperial Trooper Squad, if you get out ahead of a lot of people, it's got a place where it's solid. But there's so many anti-turn meter teams now, and just inherently faster squads that you daze them, you mass stun them, or whatever, they fall apart real fast, right? So they could use a boost at some point. And you're right, I think Iden in like the the sub Kyber ranges is actually still quite effective.
Hmm.
But once you get a counter, or once you learn how to counter her, she just like she falls apart. Um, so yeah, the Iden faction, like all those troopers, Imperial Probe Droid. I don't know if anybody actually uses Imperial Super Commando.
I can't
Like
imagine outside of just for the ship.
right, right. A TIE fighter pilot, he was meta once upon a time, but no, just no anymore, right? Like in my alt account, it's 2.8 million. I'm working towards Executor. I'm almost there. So I've got my TIE fighter. He's one of like 15 relic characters. And every time I use him, no matter what, I'm just disappointed. I'm like, wow, that really sucked. Um, so something to elevate these, and then how many more Imperial characters are in the franchise that are not in the game that we'd like to see? Like, I'm just thinking Leia may bring us a Scout Trooper Marquis, and that, even though that would be a requirement for this GL, they do double down sometimes. Like Moff Tarkin is required for a couple, right? So I
Do
could
you
see
still
that.
believe Scout Troopers coming? Because I mean, we already have the 3 marquees that they usually have, right? There's not really room for one more.
Well, we got Rex and we got Nisa.
And then
I don't think
Captain Cal
Drogon.
Drogo.
Yeah, Drogo. I don't think he's going to be a requirement because, like, okay, so if he was a requirement, why name drop him when you list your first 5, right? Because they said here's 5, we got 10 more coming. Oh, and by the way, we've also got this special guy. I think he's going to be a conquest character down the road.
You think he's going to be like a lifter in the future?
Maybe, and now I'm going to get biased. I'm going to let my inherent bias out here for a second, because it is an indoor. The graphic we have in the game is definitely Leia in her indoor fatigues and the camouflage. So, what was her like call to fame in the camo scene? It was the ability to meet an alien race for the first time and negotiate an alliance, and not just an alliance, but employ them to put their entire village on the line to fight a battle that they didn't need to engage in, right? So I suspect that GLA is going to have quite a few Ewok synergies, especially since 2 of the first 5 requirements are Ewok. I think there will be 1 or 2 more. Maybe 1 in each of the next grouping of 5. I expect Chirpa or Tebow to be there. And then I could see her ideal, maybe not ideal, but a viable lineup for her being the new dude, Drogon, and then 3 Ewoks. But that is a bias I have, so maybe not.
So I was coming from it from the perspective of one of your original videos being that Ewoks are just not very highly reliced and therefore a requirement because it's just a space that, they can extract some extra capital from. Are you looking at as they're actually going to be the team and not just they're just some sort of necessary spending evil that CG is imposing upon us?
I think it's entirely possible. Because, okay, so you take Wicket, right? They got Wicket at Relic 3. I don't know if Wicket stays in the Ewok team with Nisa or not. I'm dying to get Nisa up to 7-star Relic 7. But very few people overall have Ewoks beyond gear 11, 12. It's just they're not really out there that much. So taking Nisa up to 7 is a solid nudge to say, hey, here's an incentive to elevate your Ewoks, and putting Wicket in there at 3. You got 2 of them now. You might as well go the distance. But I don't think Wicket actually belongs in that squad. And then so I thought, well, maybe does Nisa? So I just did this video yesterday, just reviewing Nisa's kit and talking more about synergies. And what I noticed throughout her kit is that Nisa specifically says Ewok ally, when an Ewok ally does this or that. Most of the other Ewoks do not say that. So, for example, Ewok Elder, he says on his second special, it says revive a random ally, any faction, right? And so, like, I could see Leia with Ewok Elder with Wicket, because of obviously the movie there, and Leia could literally be revived by Ewok Elder. So you throw in like a Rebel Pathfinder, maybe Des Dameron, is it Des or Kes Dameron, who's Poe Dameron's dad, and he was a Pathfinder at Endor, and he befriended Nisa. Like they were really, really tight. So like if you throw in like that Drogon dude, maybe that's what he is. So you got a Rebel fighter, you got a reviver healer with Elder, you got an attacker with Wicket, and then who knows what else? Maybe Han or a Luke or a Chewie or an R2 or something, right? We don't know. And then you have a thematic squad based on Return of the Jedi.
I'm going to give you one little piece of pushback here as far as thematic squads are concerned. Lord Vader works with Maul and Royal Guard and, an Inquisitor that probably didn't exist at the time. And CG
historically doesn't give a crap about thematics. I get that. I mean, TIE Defenders with Tarkin, right?
Yeah.
That 100% should have been with Thrawn. I mean, it was his pet project.
Yeah. All right, so I'll give you an option. You get to pick which one you'd most like to see for any justifiable reason. I don't care which one. Leia works with the CLS team, as Zareth has been talking about, and that team kind of disappears. Maybe CLS goes to work with Malicos or Starkiller or whatever, and Leia kind of inherits the fantastic, Chewbacca, Han Solo, 3PO, C-3PO kind of team. Just that team can mess anyone up. If you give someone who's more powerful than CLS those tags, they're gonna mess anyone up. Or she works with Ewoks of any varying variety, plus some one-armed or one-legged guy for equity reasons. Which would you rather see for any reason?
Okay, which would I rather see? Okay, I would actually rather see it work with the Ewoks. And as the Ewok freak here, I know that people are going to think this is biased, and maybe it is, but two reasons. One, I don't want to break up an already highly effective CLS team. I use it religiously in GAC and Conquest, whatever. Mm-hmm. Taking, the old saying, don't fix it if it ain't broken, right? CLS ain't broken. It is one of the longest lasting, crazy good squads in the game. I mean, CLS is almost OG. I started the game, I think, a year into its development or after release, and I think CLS was already there. And it's been improved over time. C-3PO improved it. Chewpio improved it. But I don't think that there's any reason to make it even better. With some datacrons or some RNG, CLS can already beat some GLs. You can beat C if they put it on defense. You can beat some Jedi Master Luke comps. If you don't have a counter, you can two-shot Vader, take out his retinue, and then throw in Imperial troopers to clean up Vader. So I don't want to mess with that. So my reason isn't even about the Ewoks. It's I just don't want to screw up CLS. I don't want to take away from my roster. Right? If I go all this way to get a GL and the only thing it's doing is elevating somebody who's already in my top maybe 5 to 10 offensive squads, I'm going to be pretty pissed off about that, actually. What I want is a new squad, a new faction that's going to rise up and join the big boys, not say, hey, top 5%, now you're top 1%. Oh, there's just not a net gain there that I want to see. From a business perspective also, if I were CG, it would 100% have the Ewok synergies and Rebel, of course. But I would want people to go, whoa, look at this. Crappy Ewok Scout or Tebow? What the hell? And I want them to throw money at it, right? I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah. No, it's something that I don't think they would do. I think that would be probably not fantastic in most people's opinions, but it is something that was talked about and I want to see because you never know. I mean, with CG, you quite literally never know. I mean, sometimes you do know, but you oftentimes do not have any idea what they're going to do. All right, we'll stay with Rebels for a couple more seconds here. Lobot, requirement, yes or no? Should I relic him right now?
No, I would not relic him. Okay, I did take mine to Gear 12. Yeah, I would definitely 7-star him, Gear 12 him. I think, honestly, you should, if you are in a position that you should aim to Gear 12 7-star every character no matter what. Just to get yourself ready. I'm not saying to apply the Gear 12 pieces, just get them up to Gear 12. You can have all the green pluses you want. But Lobot is actually really, really easy to gear. He does not need much of anything. I had mine at Gear 4. about 2-3 months ago, and I was like, okay, let's just go ahead. And I just blindly was hitting apply, 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 and I didn't notice anything leave my inventory that I actually missed or wanted. So I would definitely gear him.
All right, well, I'm gearing him right now, and I don't have any of the green stun cuff things, so I guess you're a dirty liar.
I guess so.
Is the most difficult piece in the entire arsenal to get is these green stun cuffs, apparently. Oh my god, I blocked on something else. This is what do I not have? This is all right. We're getting to the bottom of the. I accidentally clicked on mods. 1 second. This is gonna throw me into a 10-minute tantrum. All right, what am I missing? What could I possibly not have? Oh, it's more of those green stud cups. I guess. All right, I guess that's just the one piece of gear that I do not have, which is very strange. Such a random piece of gear. I didn't even know you could not have them. All right.
There's so many low-level gear pieces that people don't. You just spend them in the Ewok, or not the Ewok, the Jawa scavenger guy, to get gear relics, and you just don't even think about it.
I think what happened was I took all of my Tuskens to 5 stars, like gear 8, because I was like, oh, I'm gonna be a good guild member, and then I used basically 5 characters worth of low-level gear, and then it was like, no, maybe not, and now I have none. Sorry, what were you saying?
Oh, no. I like the Tuskens. I took mine all to Relic 5, same way, for the guild mostly. But I use them almost every GAC now against Starkiller, and very happy with that.
That's quite beautiful. Did I just hit 7 million? Is this a great day for the Empire? It's a great... Oh, no, I'm at 6.9 million. I guess I'm going to stay there for the rest of my life. All right.
It's always a great day for the Empire, isn't it?
It's always a great day to be in the Empire.
Yeah.
Speaking of other empires...
Go ahead.
No. Before I transition, please, my friend.
Okay, so I was just reading here Leia's not leaked, but promoed basic ability, right? So it says like on her turn, deal true damage to target enemy equal to 10% of the damage other rebel allies received since her last turn, and deal additional effects based on the enemy's roll. :/ connection lost. Just one thing I would encourage people to remember is that is very likely not the full basic. Like I've heard people say that she's only going to have rebel synergies because of that. It calls out rebels, and I'm like, no, it's cut off, right? Who knows what's going to come after that. I'd also say that 10% damage based on the damage they've received since her last turn, that sounds like a lot, but it's not really. I don't think it's really a lot.
No.
Because GLs also, they're fast. Right, so if she has a speed of 550, 600, whatever, then the enemies are likely only going to take 1 or 2, maybe 3 turns between her from a whole squad. So that's really not a lot of damage. So it sounds cool, but it's not a compelling GL level effect, I think, which leads me to believe that there's the big shoe hasn't dropped, and I think that this is kind of a bit of a misdirection.
Interesting. So one could also read this that she could have some either be super slow, which would be very weird for a Galactic Legend, or she could have an ability that makes her super slow for a certain amount of time to allow characters enough time to receive a bunch of damage, so she can then, she plays with the console or something on Endor, or she's rallying the Ewoks and she goes off into the bushes or something like that and she comes back.
That's interesting. I hadn't thought of that. But so like now if we jump over to Ewok Elder, for example, his middle special, Tribal Healer, it says dispel all debuffs on all allies, right? So it cleanses her. It cleanses rebels. It doesn't say Ewoks. And then it goes on to say all allies recover health equal to 30% of his health and 35% chance to revive a defeated ally. Again, not Ewoks. Then his second special says revive a defeated ally at 40% health with a 55% chance for him to gain turn meter. If the revived ally is Ewok, that's an if, they're called to assist. And then whenever an Ewok's defeated, reduces cooldowns. The point is, though, he has 2 specials. Both revive any defeated ally, and one of them heals and cleanses the entire team regardless of factions. So I think that Ewok Elder is going to be on her squad. Also, when Nisa came out, right, who did CG recommend taking out of the Ewok squad?
I don't remember, but I'm gonna imagine Wicket because no one uses him.
No, they said take Elder out.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, they said you're not going to need the revive, which is what he does. And the pushback from the
What
community.
about you don't use him for the revive though. You use him for the turn meter. What the fuck?
Exactly, right? And that was the pushback. Everybody was like, but you don't that's not why you use him, right? So what if they're not actually wrong though in this regard? You're going to take out Elder because you're going to throw him without Leia and Rebels.
Okay. So I guess another point that could argue against all of the arguing that I've been doing is she could just have a unique that says, oh, Ewoks also count as rebels, or Ewoks get all of the same buffs as rebels, and you could just apply that there. But that is actually interesting because let's say you stick, I don't know, I'm sorry, am I echoing on your side?
No, you're good.
Okay, cool. Let's say you stick Elder and, whoever in there, and Leia focuses fire, forcefully taunts, Khal Drogo with his one arm or one leg or whatever amount of appendages he's missing. Maybe he has no head. He could be headless. I have no idea. I've long predicted that he's just like a flying torso on a jetpack that kind of like IPDs. But I imagine that probably goes against all the stuff that they're planning for him. She could force mark him. He could die, receive, a ton of damage. Maybe he has an ability or she has an ability that like 10x's the amount of damage he receives, so that she's then able to go deliver a big hit and then Elder revives him the next turn. I don't know. I think the kind of what we're getting at here is when they go signal interrupted, blah, 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 we have no fucking idea what it's going to be.
Absolutely.
It could have Empire synergy. It won't, but with CG at the helm, you almost never know what kind of kid it's going to be.
Yeah. Okay, so for expanded lore, Iden defects along with her squadron. They defect, and Leia is the one who accepts the defection. So that I could see CG going, oh yeah, she's going to synergize with Iden and troopers.
Is Iden? I mean, I haven't played. I get a lot of shit for this. I don't play a ton of video games. Like I'm a true blue-blooded gamer, don't get me wrong, but like I have never played any of the Star Wars games. I just don't like story-based games for whatever reason. I'm more of a FPS person, for good or for bad. Is she from Battlefront 2? Is that they have like a really small campaign, right? Is that where she's from?
I haven't had a gaming console in 20 some odd years. But she's definitely was from one of the video games. And I'm looking for that now. She was in
I don't think it was Squadrons, but
Battlefront 2.
Okay, because I remember when that game came out, hearing a bunch of like video essays on, what's the point of playing for the Empire if you're only going to do it for one mission and then be a good guy? What a waste. And I haven't heard of her since. So my expanded lore from comics and stuff like that is not fantastic, but. I mean, Iden Versio.
Yeah,
funny.
So Lucasfilm has also confirmed, I love how they do this, that she was in A New Hope, Episode 4, but only her starfighter.
Oh, so she was like in it?
Yeah, she was piloting one of the ships, flying around.
Because I remember seeing something like a TikTok, not a TikTok because I don't have TikTok, but like TikToks get converted to Instagram, and that's where I see them. Because real men watch Reels, not TikToks. Thank you very much. That like a defender or an interceptor or something like that was in one of those movies, and I just love how they're like, oh, we're gonna make a character up, and then we're just gonna secretly say that they were in the background the whole time. You know what I'm saying? It's so fun, dude.
Nisa is that way. They've since come out recently and said that little character that looks like her in the 1980s Ewok show actually was her.
I thought that was. She was in the Christmas special or the Ewok movie or TV show or whatever the hell it was. I mean, before my time, obviously. I was born in 2000, but...
Yeah, she's been on a lot of things. I sat down with my 5-year-old, tried to watch the first Ewok cartoon episode the other day, and I couldn't do it. Like, the opening song, like, I was like, oh, no, I have to leave the room.
Yeah, I mean, I love Star Wars, but there's some stuff I just can't do. Like, they had the like, Resistance Kids TV show, which is, like, made for 5-year-olds, and I was like...
Yeah.
I was at a point where I was watching everything with my mom. She got into a big like Star Wars kick. She watched Clone Wars and Rebels for the first time, and we're like, "What else is there?" And we're staring at this like kid show. We're like, "We can't do it. We can't do it." I really like. I'll still watch SpongeBob to this day and stuff like that, but I am not gonna watch one, The Resistance, which is obviously the worst thing ever, but two, a show made for actual 5-year-olds as opposed to the Clone Wars, which was fake made for 5-year-olds, but really we know it was made for men and men only. And then women 10 years later when it became popular again. All right, let's transition out of Leia and the Rebels, conversely, to the Empire, but not the Empire that we talked about with Thrawn, the Sith Empire.
Oh.
Is Leviathan destined to be dog shit forever? Is it a conspiracy?
No.
Why
I think that they are
terrible?
revising the kits, not fixing the bugs.
Okay, so it's going to be like, instead of changing how stuff works, they're going to change the text to relay the bugs in the game.
Yeah, so I think they're going to update the kits, and then the updates will be bugged. And so I think it's going to be crap for at least the next 3 to 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that they will fix it. So I was just talking with Scribe a couple days ago, actually, and we were kind of lamenting and sharing some similar thoughts. But like I was saying that, so like Leviathan's its shtick is that it debilitates and then takes over the enemy capital ship, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there are really only 2 other meta fleets. We got the Executor and we got Profundity. Okay, so you take over Profundity and oh look, you have no rebels on your squad, so none of Profundity's abilities other than its basic do anything for you. So well done. Similarly with Executor, it's like you can't heal your bounty hunters because you don't have any, so what's the point of this? And you don't have any Empire ships, so you're not getting any of the benefits. Okay, so you still take out their capital. That's good, but that's only kind of on par or a step up from Radis or Profundity's ultimate or something. Except
Profundity's ultimate is fucking fantastic because you get that crazy debuff.
Because it cripples the enemy fleet. They can't recover health or protection, and they inevitably die. But Leviathan doesn't do anything. It's just like, yeah, you got it. Now what? And I think that they're going to have to do something about that. And then also, so then it's others, right? Like sabotage the engines. Okay, that's fine. But some of the other capital ships are already so much faster. I don't think that makes a huge difference. I mean, like Profundity is like pushing like 240 speed or something. And so you knock off 30%. And it's still almost on par with Leviathan, which I think is 184. So, meh. And then sabotage the hangars doesn't matter when Profundity doesn't even need to call a reinforcement. You just fundamentally just waste your turn. You know, you build up your turn meter, sabotage the hangars. Congratulations, that's it.
Yeah.
There's no net gain there. So I think that Leviathan is just flawed. The Sith Empire fighters, they're
wet noodles.
They don't
at best.
Yeah, they die easy. They don't put out any damage. It is, you know, I have a 5-star Leviathan, and there's a 7-star floating on and off my arena shard. And so I posted a video recently. I beat it with HOM-E with Biggs, Biston, and Raven's Claw as the starting lineup, called in the Falcon. And it was grindy, it was rough, but I won. And then yesterday, the guy's name is Prophet. Prophet put it back on there. And I challenged it again with HOM-E, my attempt. And I beat it without anybody. And I think full health on all my ships at the end. So it was like HOM-E with Falcon, Biston, first R Cassian, and it was a full clear. Probably would have been like 68 to 70 banner.
You were robo for about 50% of that, but I'm getting the gist of it. We're getting the gist of it over here.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Some
you're
lag.
good. No worries. I do all of my stuff off of a laptop with terrible internet, so I know I will never complain about anyone else's connection ever for the rest of time. One thing that I despise about the Leviathan is that it's basically only useful at 6 and 7 stars. At 5 stars, you don't get the fear from the ultimate, which would be nice. Like, basically a free turn would help if they did damage. Obviously, they don't do damage. Doesn't really help. And then, killing the next reinforcement kind of thing is nice with the hangers. I don't know if that's for 4 or 5 stars. I think that's maybe 6 stars. I have no idea which star it is for that. But, like, honestly, keep the kit. Touch up the actual ships a little bit. Maybe increase their damage numbers. Or just give them a unique, like, Tarkin, where they just do more damage. Like, just give me a 40 or 50% offense boost to all of my ships so they actually do something. And reduce the star count for all of the fun stuff. And I think we would probably be sitting pretty. Because, like, Executor, you can use perfectly fine at 4 stars. You can beat pretty much everything that is an Executor you're using an offense. Same thing with Profundity. You can pretty much beat anything, including 7-star Executors with a 4-star Profundity. No problem. The Leviathan is great if it's maxed and all of the bugs gets fixed. And how many people do you think have 7-star Profundities right now? Like 1,000, maybe?
Yeah, it's still not a big number.
Yeah, but
I'm not sure that a lot of the bugs, I'm not sure that how many of the bugs are actually the problem. I mean, like, they're definitely annoyances. So, like, the bug that dazes your own side, right?
Yeah,
that's super annoying. But, like, if you are up against Profundity, I don't think it's a huge problem because, like, Profundity negates any turn meter advantage or gains anyway. You can't manipulate turn meter.
Yeah.
So that's one of the key, benefits of Daze. Obviously, the Falcon being able to dispel stuff prematurely and dispel undispellable stuff is a bummer. That one definitely needs to get fixed.
I had a heated debate with I can't remember who talking about the Radis ship, not Admiral Radis of the Profundity, but the actual
Resistance
ship.
Radis.
Yeah. And they were like, I guarantee you that the Radis will beat the Leviathan. And this was before we knew the kit. And I was like, 1, we don't know the kit. But 2, when the Executor came out, it was beaten by pretty much anything. And they're like, we should probably change this. And then they changed it. And when the Profundity came out, it was beaten and sucked at fighting almost everything. And they buffed it up. Yeah. There's still some cognitive there I don't even know what to call it, but there's still some of that lack of brain cells percolating out there in the universe. You're confident as I am that they are going to make sure that this is good, whether it's a bug fix, a change in the kit, a stat boost, a total overhaul. They're going to do something right.
Yeah. I mean, I nobody knows, of course, except for CG, but I feel pretty confident that a substantial enough portion of their revenue and profitability comes from the top 5 spenders, top 5% spenders, right? I mean, I don't think all the little in-app micro purchases that people make is what sustain them. So the Leviathan, especially not being able to activate all those special abilities until you 7 or 6 started or whatever. I think it's 7 started for some of them.
Yeah,
that was definitely a cash grab. I mean, that was like, seriously, here it is, day 1. Go buy creative crystals a couple times, please. Thank you for your money. And to burn people if they leave it this bad, they're not going to, people will be incentivized to do that again. And they're just going to ultimately hurt their bottom line a lot. They have to come back and fix this. And even if even if it takes a month or 2, they have to fix it just to say, in the future, we'll do better. Even though I don't think they're going to say that in so many words. They never do that.
Or they never do better, I guess you can have it both ways.
Not really.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that the recent character, the Cal Kestis kits, his entourage seemed to all be better, I guess. I mean, I don't remember.
Yeah, it was a relatively good rollout. I don't think there was anything big.
I don't think there's anything wrong with Tarful or whatever. Nisa, I've been experimenting a lot with, and I'm wondering if the damage over time that she applies whenever an Ewok ally attacks out of turn, I'm wondering if that's applying properly. I've really been trying to pay better attention since I first noticed it, because I feel like when Ewoks are attacking with Retribution, they're not applying it, even though they're attacking out of turn. But I could be wrong, and that's a harder one to get because I feel like every time I apply Retribution, like Chewbacca slams and I lose it or something.
Yeah, he definitely is fantastic at getting rid of buffs. But I mean, that's kind of indicative of their entire career as a studio, is that
Uh-huh.
even when stuff is good or acceptable, it's very difficult for a layman to know if stuff is working properly.
Yeah.
And if you don't recognize that it's broken and no one reports it, they're not going to do any extra coding that they don't have to, obviously, because there's so much shit they have to do.
Yeah, I had
How much do you think is broken and no one has any idea? Like, it just doesn't work the way it's
Oh,
supposed to work.
I think there's quite a lot, actually. I mean, I think there's quite a lot. Um, so like take Fanatical Devotion with the Inquisitors. When you use the event special, it says apply a stack of purge on the enemy and then blah blah blah. And for the longest time, at least in my experience, it didn't do that. It did not apply that stack. And it was like the very first sentence, like apply a stack of purge on the target enemy, blah blah blah. So I think there's quite a lot in there. When Raven's Claw came out, I'm a big fan of that ship, and I've been trying to advocate for it, but most people won't need it just because of the paths that they take in the game. But Raven's Claw says on its basic, if it starts the turn with Foresight, or I think it says if it starts the turn with Foresight, or if the target enemy has target lock, then attack twice. I don't remember exactly which condition it is, but it wasn't doing that initially. And I filed a bug report with CG, and I got to talk with one of their engineers, programmers, whoever. And eventually they wrote me back and they said, oh, yeah, the problem is it only triggers on its own turn. And I was like, well, that's not what it says, though, in the kit. And they said, yeah, but it's working as intended. And I was like, but that's not what it says in the kit, intended or not. So that was an interesting experience, and they have since changed it. I've never seen the actual posting on their forums that updated it, but now it is double tapping, whether it's its own turn or being called to assist. So they definitely changed it to match the kit, which meant what the engineer told me was wrong also.
Yeah, because right now it says if Ravenclaw starts its turn with Foresight, inflict target lock on a random enemy that didn't already have it 2 turns, blah, 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 blah. It says, I don't think it says anything about anyone else.
No.
I mean, I am fine with them changing the words as opposed to the actions, as long as what I read is what happens. Like, I am totally willing to accept, micro changes to kits that are, still new and still being figured out if it leads itself to, I don't know, a better experience. It just integrity and I don't want to get down. If I talk shit about CG's ability to use spoken or written English, Solo Base and Zareth will appear out of the ether and pile on and just absolutely blast Meaty Boy. And to be fair, like, they come up with I consider myself a master of terrible nicknames. Every time they talk about him, he has a new nickname, and it's one of the reasons why I'm one of their most devoted listeners of the podcastings, because I just wait for those juicy meathead nicknames. That being said, I would be willing to accept a 5% buff or nerf to every single thing in the entire game if I knew for certainty that what I read is what was going to happen, because this is a different game, but still the same company. In Heroes of Middle-earth, a lot of stuff does not work as it's written. Like, and the game is so young that it's pretty substantial. There's no GAC, there's no stakes, there's not even a raid yet, so like it doesn't really matter. But like, very frequently I will be doing something and I will be like, this does this, and then it won't happen, and I'll lose. Not that matters, and we'll switch back to Galaxy of Heroes, not talk about Heroes of Middle-earth, but it's the same studio, and it's just frustrating to think that, like, I have no idea what the characters actually do. Like, if it says gain turn meter when dispelling debuffs, and you dispel debuffs on hit, and then you dispel debuffs where there is no turn meter, and the entire kit is revolving around gaining turn meter and being faster, and that doesn't happen, I'm like, well, this character is useless. And what was it? A long time ago, I think it was Stormtrooper Han, because he does, like, removes turn meter, gains turn meter, he does that, like, whole fiasco, right? There was a while where it was broken. And it was early enough in my career to where he was a substantial member of whatever I was doing many, many, many years ago. And I just remember thinking, like, what's the point of saying that he removes turn meter or gains turn meter if he's not going to actually do any of the things that he says? And I just remember being incredibly frustrated.
The thing that frustrates me the most about bugs at Capital Gains too is that they certainly have the capacity to forewarn about some of this. Like, had they just said on the eve of the Leviathan release, had they said, hey, Hollow Heroes, tomorrow's the big day. We're releasing the Leviathan. We know you're excited. We're excited. We want to make you aware that we've decided to release it because of our promise. We want to keep to our timelines. We want you to engage and have fun, but be aware that there are a number of bugs, and here's what we know so far. Or even just say, we're working on them and we'll have resolution soon. I think that simple acknowledgement beforehand too would go a long way to restoring like community trust, credibility, appreciation. But they don't do that. They always wait till after it comes out, almost as if the entire community is their beta tester. Mm-hmm. And maybe we are, actually. I really hope not. I hate to think that that's the case. But I can't even begin to imagine that they played this themselves and said, wow, this is really fun. Timing out. I mean, I don't know.
Not to go too ape shit, but I think it was Zara. Someone made a great point about the marquee event for the new Rex, Captain Rex.
Oh,
it was
geez.
Like it. Those old like commercials where it's like it only takes one person to to stand up to bullying or whatever it was that people were standing up to back in like the 90s and the early 2000s. Like it only takes one human being to play that mission and realize that it doesn't work. Like literally one. Like
it did
literally
not
one.
Work. Yeah, I got through it somehow. I swear it took 25 minutes against the clone troopers. And I know that a good 15 minutes of that was on full automatic. I was just like, I'm just at my ends. But I got through it, but I had so many conversations with other people that are like, it's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. And I'm like, well, it's not, but maybe the stars have to align.
You have to like slowly get enough armor shreds to do enough damage. It was so stupid. It took me my entire... I work in the heart of the financial district in San Francisco where it will take you 45 minutes to go a mile, right? It took me my entire drive home, which is about 45 minutes to an hour, to complete this because I did like the first 10 minutes as I was walking to the parking lot, and then I put it on full auto, and then I realized it was broken. I was like, oh, it must be a glitch. So I stopped, and then 35 minutes before I got home, I restarted it, put it on full auto, and it finished. I mean, my phone turned off because my phone I stick it in the cup holder. I don't text and drive. Thank you very much. California police highway patrolman. I stick it right in the cup holder, and a little sound happens because it's plugged in because I'm listening to music. A little sound happens when my phone turns off, and it only turns off when the game is paused for a long enough time that it falls asleep and goes off. While it's full auto, that doesn't happen. I heard the little beep as my phone turned off as I was pulling into my driveway 35 minutes later. And some people had better RNG. Some people said if you do it manually, it only takes 5 minutes. This is obviously very anecdotal and not applicable to quite everyone. But I cannot believe that someone was like, oh, let's give him a 35-minute marquee event on full auto with like relic 5 characters.
And if I'm not mistaken, that was the first time they dropped the number of tiers also, like instead of 7 or 8 or 6, it was only 2. So yeah, you had that expectation of like, oh, this will be a time saver. It'll be, we're going to really appreciate this. And at the same time, it's kind of the backhanded, no, we're going to take away a few tiers, but make sure you do it a lot longer.
Yeah, I not to cross over too many times into HOM-E, but a lot of Heroes of Middle-earth YouTubers are like not native to the genre, so a lot of like stuff that we take for granted and don't really find a big deal is like end of the doomsday stuff for them, so they get really upset about a lot of stuff. One of the big complaints was that the marquee events, of which there have only been 2 so far, well I guess now 4, they're like, this is not real content, it's too easy, because for us a marquee event is just a way to give everyone a 3-star character, and then you spend money to get them to 7 stars. Like it's just like a full auto, takes 5 minutes, preamble before you actually use the character or whatever. And then I ended up showing a lot of people who have never played Galaxy of Heroes. I was like, watch this. And I showed them the Rex event. And I was like, this is what happens when you tell CG that you want the marquee events to take longer. And they're like, okay, you're probably right. It's probably a good thing that these are 5-minute events and not 35-minute full auto endeavors that make you want to, like, drive off of the Bay Bridge.
And Crate Raid is kind of a similar situation too. Like a lot of people felt that the heroic Sith triumvirate raid just took too long. 15 to 30 minutes, depending on how you play it. If you got slicker in the right combo, or you could throw all your teams at it and spend an hour and a half easily. And I get that. That was really annoying. But you really only needed one person in the guild to beat it, right? I mean, so you could have 49 other players sit there and just collect their rewards by joining, and I don't know how it determined who got what rank. But now with Crate Raid, it forces all 50 of your guild members, ideally, to engage it as many as 5 times. So even though it's only one phase, you're doing it 5 times, and you're forced to do it. So it is content, I guess, but it's also a sneaky way of forcing engagement.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I don't like that path.
A fair number of people that I'm very close with work for EA, many of them at CG, from prior non-Galaxy of Heroes related relationships. But a huge metric that everyone knows, a huge metric that they care about is retention time. And obviously, I don't think people understand just how small the pool of people who make up the majority of the money that they make is coming from. Like unimaginable. We can talk off air about this, but unimaginably small number of people produce the vast majority of the money that they make.
Yeah.
But as far as the average like runtime, like it doesn't matter how much money you spend. Playtime is playtime, and if they can stick you in there for an extra hour every couple of days, I mean, they're gonna do it. But one argument I had. Go for it.
Yeah, go for it.
No, please. Beauty.
I was gonna say you get
non-beauty.
like what do they call it? The gambler's fallacy or something. You get that, and then you get the sunk cost mentality in there. That
so many fallacies. The galaxy of fallacies, man.
Galaxy of fallacy. Oh man. Oh, that brought up a mental image. The more time you spend engaging in it, the more you want to hold on to the game and not lose your sunk investment, right? So I understand from a business perspective, the more they can get you to log in and engage it, the more likely you are to continue to do that. Because we people, for some reason, just do not learn to let go. It's hard.
Not to talk too much about actual gambling and the gambler's fallacy, but I had a really weird experience. I've only talked to a couple of people about this. So I went on this like incredibly long work trip where we bounced all over the country and did a bunch of retreats and ended up all over the place. And I ended up in a casino, and I don't gamble. I've never gambled in my entire life prior to that day. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to play some blackjack because, I just listened to some Kenny Rogers. And I was like, fuck it. We're going to see how it goes. And I was at a point where I had made a substantial amount of money, and I was like, we need to leave because I made money.
Yes.
But then I had this exact feeling, and it was really weird because it literally reminded me of the moment I watched like a presentation on like 2 mobile game studios about like how to maximize time and money and all that stuff. And I remember that exact moment I first watched that while I was sitting there, because like I just want to keep playing. Like, what else am I going to do for the rest of the day? I might as well keep playing. And there's literal like hundreds of dollars in front of me, and I'm like, it would make great sense for me to walk away and like go watch a movie or something. And I'm just like, fuck it, I'm gonna keep playing because I was just so invested. And I remember specifically watching this one video where this one Swedish dude is like explaining like, if you can keep people coming back every day, they will forego their time, their loved ones, their money. It doesn't matter. If you can keep them coming back, they will be stuck here forever. And I remember
addiction is powerful.
I was thinking about that on the blackjack table. It was so weird. Like, I've given CG and EA and mobile game studios shit for many years, albeit a willing participant and profiting off of it. But it was just such a weird experience. I can't explain it. It was like someone who like does crack and was like finally had an intervention and realized that crack is not good for you. I did walk away. I told everyone I did walk away. I did keep my money, so I didn't waste it. But going back to what you're saying is like, if you keep coming back, I mean, you're going to keep coming back. How many people do we know who said they were going to quit and then, they didn't quit for 3 years? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I think I'm echoing on your end a little bit, or at least I can hear some reverb, which is kind of strange. But like, how many years have you been playing this game?
I don't remember when I downloaded it. Whenever the game came out, I think it was about a year after that.
Yeah, so like 6, coming on 7 years at this point. Like, what else have you done besides your job and your family and maybe some hobby that you had since you were a child that you've committed 7 years of your life to every single day religiously and like thought about it more than you should? Like, it's really weird that it has this grip on us.
Yeah, that's kind of depressing when you think of it that way.
I was gonna say this is no longer PP podcast. It's Galaxy of Heroes Anonymous. Swago A.
Yeah. So anyway, but no, you're dead on. A good friend of mine got into it just because he wanted to. He loves Star Wars and he wanted to have something more in common that we could sit around and play and talk about. And he's very, very, very conscious of his time engagements. And so he started playing and he's like, I'm putting too much time in it. So he put a restriction on his phone to not give him more than 30 minutes a day.
Like a child
And then he
log?
realized it was working for about a week. And then he started, I'm gonna go to 40 minutes because I just need to finish up these events. Oh, I'm gonna go to 50.
I gotta finish
and then
GW.
Yeah, exactly. And so eventually he's like, man, sorry, I just can't do this anymore. And so he just deleted it. And he bought Hyperdrive bundle and everything. And I was like, bro, power to you. You reclaimed your life. Good job.
God, it's like oh man. Maybe that's my life's work. I gotta stop people from playing this game. No, but it's weird. It's like, for like transparency, like as far as money spent on this game, like of my own dollars that were not like handed to me at that exact moment by someone watching the stream, I've spent exactly $99.99 on the game.
Hyperdrive.
I bought the Hyperdrive on my birthday. I started a new account. Famous story. I didn't get any birthday presents that year for whatever reason. I was like,
man.
This is my birthday present because I loved it. And I started my YouTube channel. I'm telling you, multi-thousand X return on, well, I guess not multi-thousand X return. I haven't made hundreds of thousands of dollars on YouTube, but like massive ROI if money is all that you care about as far as that investment. So I have no qualms with saying I've spent my 100 of my own dollars. And then every 6 or so months, I'll get, $20-$40 from a person on stream, and I'll use it to get a character, relic a day early for a GAC as opposed to waiting a week and doing it next year. So stuff like that. But like, if you play this game free to play or relatively free to play within your means, and you're not spending hundreds or thousands of dollars, like there is an argument to be made that, like, especially during COVID, like 90% of my human interaction was because of this game. Not just because of YouTube, but like, if you take all that out, Discord, guild members interacting with people who I know in real life, texting them about the game when we had nothing else to talk about. Like, it's not all net negative. Like, yes, you can. Like,
no, man. Entertainment's entertainment,
but like,
I mean, how many people go out and drink, or you can spend $40 on 2 movie tickets anymore, and you have that experience, but at the end of the day, it's done, right? No, I don't shame anybody for spending in the game or engaging if that's what they enjoy and that's their entertainment. And like you just mentioned, COVID, man, Shanghai. The first 2 years of the pandemic here was life as normal, but 2022 was rough. And like this office and the rest of my apartment was literally my entire world for 4 months as we were locked in, like not actually locked, but told not to leave the building, right?
Yeah.
And so if it wasn't for YouTube and the internet in general and Star Wars, like I had nothing else to do. Like it was really, really rough. So I'm actually really, really happy that I have this community to engage with, and that I love Star Wars. I have something to do that I enjoy, and it's permeated out into other aspects of my life too. Like I teach design, so like a lot of the examples of woodcrafting and things I've done are Star Wars themed, and it just adds a little bit even to my home decor at times and stuff. So it's been good for me. But it's also a time commitment that, in retrospect, was it the right one to choose? I don't know, but I'm happy.
Obviously, that has to be a value judgment for each individual person. But I've
for sure.
for many years equated the game to book club. You know, we don't really care about the book. We more care about talking to each other about how much we hate our husbands and drinking wine and stuff like that. So, you know, we love to complain, and it just gives us something to talk about. And I think obviously there are certain percentages of the population where if you give them the opportunity to send their money down a rabbit hole, they will fall into it. And that you can apply that to literally anything, right? I don't think it should be too.
Sure.
And there's obvious EA and CG specific predatory practices that they've been sued for in multiple countries. And I'm not going to say that they're completely without fault, but like if the average person can restrain themselves and be reasonable, I would argue it is a massive net positive, especially because, let's be honest, video games, the internet, and Star Wars are not typically areas that you would find the most socially, you know, powerful people in the world.
No.
If I'm being perfectly honest, I'm not a very social person myself. I know I look happy and all this stuff, but that's because I'm talking about Star Wars, and so I feel at home and I'm happy. But like, I quite literally don't know what I would do as far as social life is concerned if I didn't have this game. And I think a lot of people feel the same way. I think a lot of people feel the same way for Marvel, whatever the fuck the Marvel game is called,
Strike
Force, or, you know, Genshin Impact, or Yu-Gi-Oh, or Pokemon, or whatever it is that people, you know, sink their lives into. So I wouldn't say that it's a net negative, but it's.
I used to be into Magic the Gathering, like hardcore. I don't know if you can see behind me, but like over here, I've got binders of Magic cards and boxes stacked away somewhere.
Yeah.
And I used to love that, but at some point I also realized, like, both financially, it was way more challenging to keep up with that than anything else I've done. And then I also got to a point where I was so competitive at it that I wasn't even enjoying the game anymore. I just wanted to beat people.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I gotta back off. And so I did. And that's actually about the time I got into Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes.
Yeah, I mean, I have a very similar relationship with this game. Going back to when I bought the hyperdrive and started a YouTube channel and stuff, like, my original thesis of the channel was like basically like low GP, what Zareth kind of has put himself as now, is like, you know, I was on like multi-hundred win streaks and literally unbeatable. Like I was so cocky, and I would plan, me and Mort would go in and we would like scout our opponents out, and we'd do all this crazy shit. And it was impossible for me to lose. Like, I was just so unbelievably better than everyone else I ever came across. It was, one, not fun because I knew I would win before every single GAC started, but also like, it just wasn't, you know, it just wasn't the kind of relationship I wanted to have the game. I stepped back. Now I haven't streamed a GAC and God even knows how long. Like, it's probably been years since I've streamed a GAC. Like, most Galaxy of Heroes people, all they do is GAC. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, and I still win a lot of my GACs because of work. I take multiple months off of GAC and I tank, and then I climb back up, and then I fall again. That's just, you know, life. Big boys have to do big boy things. But like, going into the more community slash, you know, longer term, don't care about keeping up with the meta farming stuff and just interacting with people. I mean, that's when, one, my channel blew up, but also my appreciation and love for the game skyrocketed because it wasn't like, you know, this chore. It was like something that I was willingly and actively participating in because I enjoyed it. And I think, you know, I tell a lot of content creators, like, you know, be a little bit more community focused and less only streaming GAC focused, and you'll probably make more money. And that's, you know, a lot of people just want to make money, and that's fine. But I think everyone has a different relationship with the game, and everyone approaches things differently, and everyone's on this journey. I don't know why I'm making Galaxy of Heroes sound like this existential, like, life journey that, you know, permeates in some sort of nirvana at the end of it, but it just goes to show, like, how good EA is at fucking psychologically manipulating us.
Oh no, they're good at it. I have no doubt they have like full-time psychologists on their staff.
Oh yes,
absolutely.
One of my friends, you know, it's not part of his job, but he's on a strategy team for a different unnamed EA game that makes a lot of money. And he's like, yeah, a lot of what we do is like, is just quote unquote strategy meetings about how we could do this stuff. And I mean, you know, shareholders got to sharehold, so I can't blame them, but at least we're getting some side benefit. All right. We've talked about the game in over an hour. The last segment for all PP podcast episodes is called The Real Meta. Not the meta in the game, but the real meta of content creation, because that's what I care about. And most people have stopped listening at this point. So I get to nerd out about the stuff that I enjoy without the fear that people who don't enjoy it or don't love me enough will hear it and make fun of me. So I've spent enough time getting rid of them. We are here alone together, probably. Let's go through some stuff as far as content is concerned. Why did you start doing it? Why do you still do it? What's your ultimate goal? Like, what is it to you, and why is it that you do it?
All right, so I have no ultimate goal. First off, I get that a lot. Like, no, it's. I started the Gerbil on YouTube because I just thought it would be fun. I wanted to improve a little bit of my video editing skills. Like years and years and years ago, I actually taught a community college class, specifically just how to use a video editor. And I think I did a really poor job of it, actually. And then after that, I just kind of gave up. I was like, this is not the field I want to go into. And at some point I was like, no, actually, I kind of want to get better. I mean, media is getting more important, and, technology is getting a lot better. Computers are faster, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, okay, let's just see what the tools are and what's available. And at the same time, I really enjoyed the game, and I got into it partly just because I loved Ewoks, and I saw there was an Ewok faction. And then I've always been a fan of taking the road less traveled. So I started pushing the Ewoks, seeing what I could do with them. And I kept running into people on forums and people saying that they suck, there's no value, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, I just beat General Grievous, and I just beat Revan, and I just beat Darth Revan. So what's the damn problem? And so I started trolling with the channel. I was just like, I'm just going to show off all these Ewok vids of doing stuff they're not supposed to do. And it was fun. And it got the attention of Cubs fan Han. He was my 100th subscriber. Wow. And he did a whole video about it. And I was like, what? And that kind of opened the door to the community at large for me. And so I had never been on Discord. I was never an online social person. Other than Discord, I do not get into social media, and YouTube. I do not get into any other social media. So like, I'm not on X, stupid name. I'm not on Facebook or anything like that. But at some point, I realized I was enjoying the game more, and I was enjoying the community more. And so instead of just trolling, I just wanted to share some of those like lesser known, lesser taken paths, right? Because like, I also believe you should chase what's fun, chase what you enjoy, not the meta. Unless you were going to go dump $100,000 in this game, no joke, you are not going to get into the top 100 Kyber 1. You're not going to get into the Maw Stop, the guilds or whatever. There is no end game. There is no victory line. You cannot win. So you should just do what you enjoy, what is fun for you. And so I've tried to encourage that in a lot of my vids. And so I don't post with the anticipation of channel growth or revenue or income. I post with the hope to share things that make people go, oh, wow, I didn't even know that was A, possible, or B, maybe there is more to the game than just the meta, right? I don't like the meta. I've never been that I'm a fan of the number one football club because they win. I've always been a fan of that team that, broke the record without any expectations of it. That had that highlight moment in their career that just astonished people and said, where'd that come from, right? That's what I like.
What's your team?
Oh, I'm not into sports.
Okay, well, you start talking about the top football team, and I was like, okay, all right, fair enough.
Okay. So no, I mean, if I had to pick a U.S. like NFL football team, I like the Jaguars logo.
Okay, fair enough. I'll accept that. I'm a Chargers fan, and they beat us in the most embarrassing playoff game in human history. So maybe not the biggest Jaguars fan, but I will accept them. I do enjoy the Jaguars before last year.
Okay, I like university sports. I do like college sports a lot. And I went to the University of Tulsa. And when I was there, we were our basketball team. We went to the Sweet 16 4 times in my tenureship there, and I spent more than 4 years there. By the way,
I was going to say that was a pretty successful 4 years.
No, I got my undergrad and master's there, so I was there for a while.
Yeah.
But we went to the Sweet 16 4 times. We went to the Elite 8. and we were picked by ESPN to make Final Four, but we lost to North Carolina on
Those bastards.
yeah, seriously, I'm not going to go there. But so I like college ball, and I always root for teams like Gonzaga, Xavier, Tulsa, the smaller schools that still make big headlines.
Mm-hmm. It's okay. I get a lot of shit for being a Chargers fan because we are, the joke about us is that there are none. I went to a preseason 49ers because I live in the Bay Area. I went to a 49ers Chargers preseason game. They play every year or every 2 years. I snuck down to the sideline, not the actual sideline, but like the little wall next to it. And the Chargers, for my entire life, had Phillip Rivers as their quarterback. They had Drew Brees before. Like, I'm a real fan. Don't give me shit in the comments. But he's notorious, aside from being a massive fourth quarter choker, for having 9 children. Now 10. He has 10 kids now recently. Congratulations. It's a boy. But I was close enough, and there was no one there because preseason, to where he could hear me. So I yelled out. I was like, "Hey, Phillip Rivers, like, all 10 of your fans are here." And he looked at me, and I was like, "Me and your 9 kids." And he laughed. And Mike Williams, who was one of my favorite players on the team and still is there, laughed. And it was the greatest moment of my life. But like, I get you. Underdogs, fantastic. I'm also a Lakers and Dodgers fans, and they're massive overdogs and like the greatest franchises.
Baseball, right?
Dodgers are baseball, Lakers are basketball. Yes, my friend.
No, I knew that.
I know. So it's really weird to be like the like king of the sport and like the lowest underdog. So I appreciate that answer. Going back to the real meta really quickly here, unless you were going to say something profound, and then I will give you the opportunity to profound.
Nope, go for it.
Okay, going back to the real meta. Let's say that whatever barriers exist that maybe you will or won't say or whatever. Perfect scenario, what does the Gerbil YouTube channel become if nothing is able to stop it? What is the perfect version of it? Whether it's making millions of dollars, having a very small community that you love and you come back to every day, trolling people with Ewoks and other Star Wars, like what is the idealized version of the channel if there's no roadblocks?
Honestly, I honestly don't really think about that. I will take millions of dollars hands down any day. I mean, that's
fair
enough. Sorry, I argue with people all the time when they're like, money doesn't make you happy. I'm like, yes, it does.
All of my sadness is because I have no money. So yes.
Yes. And people are like, well, money can't get you family. I'm like, you want to bet?
I was going to say, I have many marriage proposals in Southeast Asia for like 2 weeks.
Money will absolutely get you family. Money helps you adopt. I mean, I don't want to go down that road because, the other saying money's the root of all evil. But money makes life easy. So I would take that without a doubt. But realistically, like kind of doing what I'm doing at this moment, I just enjoy engaging with other content creators. I enjoy engaging with the fans. I've been debating on opening up a Discord server just because like recently I've been getting a lot of people asking me about a really unusual build order that I shared a video. I just said my crazy efficient build. And it's very contrary to kind of the status quo. Like I really, really like Nooch Too Good, aka Star Wars Dad. And he's really building a good community over there, I think. But like I've been getting a lot of questions about that, and I like just sharing out again that path less traveled and talking about it. And so I guess that's kind of it. I mean, just I don't want 30,000 subscribers. I mean, I'll take it. I'm not looking for profit off the channel. I make, I don't know, 1,500 give or take last year on the channel. I don't take donations. I don't take fan contributions or anything like that. I just get the basic advertising revenue from YouTube. And I do reinvest almost 100% of that into the game because it also just sustains my level of play and engagement. And then I take some of that spending and I put it back on the channel, right? So like when Nisa hits the shard shop, I will buy a crate of crystals and I will buy the shipments and I will 7-star her. And that's not coming out of my own personal savings. It's basically just coming out of the revenue I get from YouTube. And then I share that back out with the people who watch. So this is just a hobby for fun for me. Well, I'm not competition, I promise.
Don't worry. No one can compete with me. I am uncompetable against because I am too loud and too angry. You cannot compete. I am angrier than anyone, and therefore I will always win. But no, I mean, like, the point of the question is that, if what you're doing right now is the idealized version of, what you could be doing, you're living the fucking dream. And we can appreciate that. And also, since you're speaking to the PP podcast, which is all people who pay money to be here, slip this into your, I know you don't ask for donations, but, you can't stop people from doing super thanks. So I will plant that seed in their minds, and you will make more money and have more Nisas or whatever Ewoks come to the game. Like, you can't stop people.
I don't even know how to receive money from the game. Like I do watch like Arnold's Whale or Fails and stuff, and I see those little crystal pop-ups all the time. And I know that on YouTube there's a monetization option that I can turn on and do that, but I've never pursued it. Like I am a techie, like I do consider myself like a tech power user, but when it comes to like the industry of streaming and capabilities, I am an absolute noob. Like I have no idea how to do this stuff. I'm kind of showing my age, right? Like, give me a PC and ask me to dissect it, find what's wrong with it, fix it, diagnose it. I'm like, right there, bro. I got you covered, or how to use a laser cutter or whatever. I'm there. I can do it. But Discord, I'm like, I'm lost. What?
It's really funny because I'm the exact opposite. I'm bad with all of that technology stuff, but when it comes to content and streaming and YouTube, like I don't know why I enjoy it so much. There has to be something wrong with my brain, but like, the stuff I watch on YouTube is about the stuff I watch on YouTube is like about being a YouTuber. It's really weird. I idolize people not because of their content, but rather how they've like transformed in various, like, done weird things. Like, there's plenty of YouTubers I watch where, like, I work in finance, so obviously I watch a lot of finance stuff, and it's like the stuff they're saying is unimaginably destructive and bad for everyone who is consuming it.
Yeah.
But like, I enjoy weird things that they do content wise that like make them compelling. I'm like, how can you apply what they're using for evil and find something like Galaxy of Heroes or something else that I enjoy, sports maybe or whatever, where I can apply this like weird thing that they're accidentally doing to corrupt the masses and make that a successful something good. Like, I really enjoy that. So like I angry watch YouTube a lot, where I'm like, they're like, you should invest in NFTs, and I'm just like, oh my god, this guy's so stupid. And then like they'll do something that like really captivates the people, and you can see how excited they are. I'm like, fuck, like, how is he doing this? How is he like actively making these people worse off but happier? And like, how can I convert that into Galaxy of Heroes, where I can like make people enjoy the game more, or like, I guess more with HOM-E now. How can I get people to not be fucking pissed all the time at the lack of content and stuff? So I think it's quite funny that we have exact opposite approaches on how that stuff works. But I mean, why haven't you started Discord? Like, you literally just press like one button. It's really easy.
Well, I have created a channel. I just haven't shared it, or a server, I guess. See, I'm even using the wrong words. And I've just kind of been like pondering like what it would be the purpose of it. Why do I want it in there? And what I'm reaching. So I've got about 3,800 subs on my YouTube channel, and I'm quite content. I actually honestly told myself if I ever hit 1,000, I was going to quit the channel. I was like, I'm just going to see if it's even possible, because I figured one day if I ever leave Shanghai, I actually might start take the experience I have from Swaga and apply it to another channel that actually has a lot more monetization opportunities and growth as an income opportunity. But yeah, I passed 1,000, passed 2, passed 3, coming up on 4. I'm still here, and I'm not like, I don't like some content creators, they constantly throw animations up there, or they constantly say like and subscribe. And most of my videos, I don't say that. I do have a basic icon or graphic that pops up, but I don't generally ask for it, because I just enjoy the sharing of it. I'm not trying to build a kingdom here. But I'm getting a lot of direct messages, and I can't keep up with them, and B, they're just like, they're flooding my inbox, and I'm very OCD when I get those little like notifications, a circle, and I'm just like, my head explodes. Like, I have to get rid of that. So
you have to disable that. Like, why have you not already disabled that?
again, I don't know what I'm doing on Discord.
Okay, go into your like settings, and you can literally disable people from. You can be like, you can even have it friends only or friends of friends, where like they have to actually be related in some way. Like I have it turned off or had it turned off completely to where no one could message me. Like literally, if Arnold wasn't my friend, he could not communicate with me in any way. I mean, he could like text me or whatever, but like you could not communicate with me. And I found it to be bad for like collabs because I would have to like turn it off, friend a content creator who I just found out about, and then turn it back on, and it was impossible. But literally just set it to like friends of friends or something like that, where only people can message you if they're your friend or friends of someone that you're friends with. I turned it off because I was getting death threats, a little bit different from what you have going on. Like, you know, questions about
I got
Ewoks.
nothing like that.
Questions about Ewoks is a little bit different from why I turned off. But like you cannot keep up with it. Like I'm telling you, at 3,800, at 4,800, at 50, like you're not going to be able to keep up with it.
No, I can't. And so that's what I'm thinking about, creating a server and then just putting some chats in there that people can bounce off of each other, you know, and then I can chime in when time allows rather than trying to engage everyone one-on-one. It's impossible. It's definitely too much of a time sink at this point. But also, I would appreciate knowing more from the people who do watch my content. Like what questions do you have? What would you like to know? What would you like to see more of? That way it just helps me, you know, better feed entertainment and stuff out to the people that are watching, because, you know, otherwise it's always a shot in the dark. Like I've made some videos that I've put a lot of time into producing because I always try to make a good quality presentation, and then I get like 200 views and I'm like, that's weird. It's not that I wanted more, but I also just feel like that wasted my time.
You got it. I know that look.
Yeah.
Everyone always talks about, oh, I don't care about YouTube. And then once the views don't hit, the real gerbil comes out, my friend.
No, I want to make sure that whatever I am producing is both valuable, enjoyable for me and for people on the other end. Otherwise, there's no need to share it. I mean, I could still make something and enjoy it, but there's no need to share it otherwise. So I want to make sure that it's enjoyable.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that if you haven't already figured out, one thing that you'll figure out is the best content, and especially in this game, but I would argue in general, is just whatever you're passionate about. And there are enough people who will share that passion to where, like you said, not asking for subscribers and stuff like that. Like I've tracked dozens of Galaxy of Heroes content creator careers over the last couple of years, and like the ones who have leaned into being who they are and being for like just making videos that they want to make, as opposed to making, you know, top 5 Zetas of the month videos or whatever, not to throw any shots at Cubs Fan Han or anything like that. But they're always going to be more successful, and not successful in terms of money, but like, you know, people are going to enjoy you. They're going to enjoy listening to what you have to say. They're going to want to join your Discord. They're going to give you feedback. And then they're going to be like, hey, I want you to do this comp against this. And then you're going to have an easier time putting out stuff that you enjoy, because the people who watch it or stuff, they enjoy what you do, and obviously you're enjoying what you're doing, and it becomes infinitely easier.
I easily have 100 or more requests right now to do Nisa versus whatever, you know, and that's not a lot, but I'll happily do that because I like the faction. Similar with Rebels, like if you have any questions about Rebel fleets, like people say I'm the go-to, and I'm like, awesome, I appreciate that. I'm not sure I am, but I appreciate it. But at the same time, you know, I'm doing it for me mostly. Just want to make sure I'm relevant to them also.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're going to have videos that are not going to be relevant to them, and I have plenty of those as well. I know what it's like. But as long as you're doing something that, like, you know, as long as you enjoyed making it and it's not your job, you know what I mean? Like, who gives a fuck at the end of the day? Like, the people who like it will come and find it. One thing that could be useful for you is if you have a certain idea that doesn't perform well, i.e. counters or whatever you happen to enjoy, like a sub play, like I have all of my Galaxy of Heroes videos in one playlist, which is kind of lazy, but like a sub playlist for like when you find those 200 to 300 people who want that kind of stuff, giving them access to binge watching it will obviously, you know, propel those videos in the ethereal algorithm that everyone likes to talk about, but also like having areas for people who enjoy different things to find exactly what it is that they want to see. They're going to enjoy you and the channel much more because they can easily access what they want to watch as opposed to everything else that maybe they don't have interest in.
Yeah, true. True.
All right, I am getting relentless calls from the missus. Oh, we just hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So perfect time to end the PP podcast. The missus wants me to pick the dog up from daycare, so this is my hard exit.
Oh, that's important.
It is important, especially because it's like an hour and a half away. One of the dog care places that we took him to for a test got robbed by armed insurgents. So we took him out to like the valley in the middle of nowhere where all of the rich suburban people are that I would love to be one day.
I cannot imagine armed robbery at like a daycare for dogs.
Yeah.
That is, when I think of like, where's the money? I don't think of pets.
Yeah, it was, well, I mean, in San Francisco, it was like a cash-based mom and pop kind of, you give them 20, 40 bucks every single day, and, they hold a lot of cash. So I guess maybe it was, they had to have had prior information about the target they were hitting, because I would usually agree with you, but...
There was a famous bank robber. I think his name was Eddie Sutton. I'm not sure, but he said, somebody asked him, he's quoted as being asked, "Why did you rob banks?" And he said, "Well, that's where the money is."
That is fair enough. I was gonna say, why do you ask for donations on Galaxy of Heroes? Because people are used to giving thousands of dollars to CG. Why not give it to APGAINS instead? You got to be where the money is, man.
That's right, folks. So if you're listening, don't give me the money. Give it to APGAINS. He'll do what's right with it.
Oh yes, and what's right is well, people know what's right. All right, thank you for joining us. I imagine there's like 6 people still listening, especially because there's not many people on the Patreon to begin with. This will eventually make its way either diced up or in one long video to the YouTube, so maybe many people will see us at some point. But
Groovy.
Let's reconvene at some point. This was obviously good chemistry and lots of fun. And as a good member of the guild, I'm pointing at you, by the way, and a bad member of the guild, I'm now pointing at myself. We have an obligation to uphold the integrity of our collective unit and make them not be embarrassed. Okay. I'm getting many texts. We must go now. I'm giving thumbs up. I'm terrible at intros and terrible at outros.
No worries.
We will now leave. I press end record button.